Hello, welcome to 3D Printing for Geoscientists. I'm Cody, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the Shapes tool. So first up, we have the line option selected, and we have all these tool options over here. And this first one, for example, shows just a single line. The second option, however, makes a line with a specified thickness. And if you want to change that up, you can go over here, switch that up to 3 millimeters instead. Now you can see this second line is significantly skinnier. There's also this option in which it creates a 3D, let's get to a better view for that, and it creates a 3D line. And so in reality, it makes more of a plane in the orthogonal to your reference plane. So I can go up, down, kind of like this. This next tool does something similar, except instead of a rectangle, it will make a triangle. Right? And these two both do similar. And in this case, it has a thickness rather than just a plane. And then in this one, we can draw into an object. And so if I draw a shape, I can then go select, and now I have this remaining shape left over from the drawing. Okay. All right, clear that out real quick. All right, and up next in the shapes is a continual line. Let's get a little bit better viewpoint for that. And so I can click and draw my line. And I can manually change the length and the angle up here. But I'm just going to freehand this for now. I can click and draw a line. And then when I click again, it sets that secondary point. And now I automatically start a continual secondary line where I can just continue to click to make my own custom shape. And if I enclose it, I make this surface. All right, and now we're going to move on to the splines. And so in this one, this yellow dot right here shows the first click, and then the red one shows the second click. So in this first click, I set the initial point. In the second click, I set the end point, or rather the point in which I want the curve to point towards, and then the next one is the end point. And then from there, I can adjust how the spline moves. And so I'm going to end that. Get rid of those and show you the next spline. And so this one's fairly similar. But now, instead of where the apex points towards, it's where it is. This one's a little more intuitive to use. But notice that when I make a second point, the original up here is no longer on the apex of the curve. So then I'll hit E to stop. And then you can see how this dot is no longer the apex. And you can go in and move these around after you make your shape. So let's get rid of these. Oh, wrong button. All right, so let's get rid of these. And this next spline, click the initial point. You click another point, then click a third point, and now you see where the initial and the third points, the spline will point towards that second point. And I can continue to do this over and over and continue this shape. And then you hit E to stop again. All right, and then get rid of that one. This one I feel is a little more intuitive. It's very similar to the line segments option. Where I will continue to click. And now I can, after the fact, go in and change these reference points. Instead of having number of line segments, I have a continual line along which I can adjust segments. Okay, let's get rid of that one and move on to the arcs. I'm going to be relatively quick on the arcs because they're all relatively self-explanatory. the major difference between them is the order in which you generate the arcs with your clicks. And in order to figure out what you're doing for each, you can look at this little image right here. This first image is the center point of your arc, and then the second one, you specify a radius, as well as one of the points in which your arc ends. So you click again, and then you can move your cursor around, and you slowly reduce the size of your arc. You can also manually enter the number, as you can see at the top. And so let's just set this to 180 degrees, and now I have a half circle, right? And as an example, now I have this second one, in which this first click signifies that one of the edges of the arc, and then my second click is the midpoint of the arc. And so let's go there, and now my third, again, signifies where this arc ends. And so I can click, or I can again manually enter the numbers. Oh. Right? And then this one, for example, has a starting point. You click where you want the second ending point of your arc. So let's go arbitrarily, let's click there. And now I can adjust the radius of the arc this way. And you see the farther away I get, the more complete of a circle I have.